And live from the WQAQ studio at Quinnipiac University, you are listening to Infinite Sports Radio on this Wednesday evening. It's great to be back as always. I'm Kenneth Grunfelder, and thank you for joining us on this, like I just said, this Wednesday evening. It's good to be back. Had a nice long summer, had a nice extra really 2 months to relax and enjoy the nice weather, and of course it went really fast, and it's really good to be back. And a lot of stuff has happened since my last show, which was in May. And I'll be flying solo. I'll be doing the show by myself. And you know what? We're going to have a good time and talk about sports for an hour. Obviously, this is the 18th anniversary of the September 11th attacks in New York City and the Pentagon. So, you know, it was a hard day, prayers and thoughts go out to all the families. It's a very tough day, but it was a day that really brought the country together, and I feel as though today the country is very divided. Don't really like to talk about politics on the show. I try to stay away from that stuff. I just like to talk about sports, but that was an event that really brought the country together, and it's unfortunate that it was an event that brought the country together, and hoping at some point that everybody kind of puts aside their differences and, starts to get along a little bit better. But that's a story for a different day. So, obviously, there has been a lot of stuff that's happened. Like I said, since my last broadcast in May, many players have changed teams, whether it's in basketball, whether it's in football. And we are about 1 month away from the baseball playoffs as we're looking to see who's going to win the World Series this year. Hopefully it's my Yankees, but that remains to be seen. And, of course, one of the baseball is popular, and also the other popular thing that I love to talk about on the show is football, and that's back in full swing as Week 1 kicked off this past weekend. And I'm assuming that the people that are listening in right now want to hear my thoughts on my New York Giants. I can't say I'm surprised at what occurred on Sunday against the Cowboys. The Cowboys obviously went 3 and out on their first possession, on their first drive, and you feel good. First play from scrimmage, Barkley fumbles, which he didn't do at all last year. So we were lucky. We were fortunate enough that we got it back and go right down the field and score a touchdown. And I'm thinking, hey, it looked good on that drive. But you also got to take into account that there's still a full game to be played, because that was just the first 5 minutes of the game. There's still 43 minutes left in the game in total. And sure enough, the Cowboys just put the foot on the gas pedal, and they did not look back. Giants were not prepared for this game, and that's pretty obvious. Now, positives, they have an offensive line. They have an offensive line. He was able to block when Barkley ran for, the 11 times that he ran. And also another thing, if the Giants do not have a good season, I hope that Pat Shurmur is fired. I have had enough of him. He really is Ben McAdoo 2.0. And if whoever's listening, if you listened a lot last year, that has been talked about. I mean, he's just very nonchalant. There's really no sense of urgency with him. And, he needs to be fired. He does not motivate you. He does not make you want to run through a brick wall for him. And the Giants, they just can't find the right head coach. It's an offensive coordinator trying to be a head coach. But anyways, the offense was good. Eli looked good. He made some good throws. He made some bad throws. And that's going to happen. But what I really want to talk about is the defense. Watching that defense, I wanted to pull every strand of hair out of my head. Because, once again, we're back at square one again with the defense. We can't have the same thing at the same time. We can't have an offensive line and a defense at the same time. It's got to be one or the other. And, the Giants, they didn't bring back Landon Collins. They traded Olivier Vernon. You bring in Marcus Golden. You bring in Antoine Bethea, the safety, who is 35, 37 years old, somewhere around that, up in age. And you got all these young guys in the secondary. Now, I really thought that the secondary for the Giants was going to be good. Now, obviously, yes, they're rookies. They have to, work their way in and get adjusted to the speed of the NFL. And it's going to happen. There's going to be growing pains, but that performance was horrendous. I mean, and these guys, and some of these guys don't even know how to tackle. That's the problem. We have, once again, no pass rush. We have no secondary, and guys can't tackle. I don't know why. I forget his name. I think his first name is Antonio Hamilton. I don't know why Pat Shurmur left him out there, because guy didn't know how to tackle. I mean, it's third down, and all you have to do is just tackle Randall Cobb so he doesn't get the first down, and Dallas kicks a field goal. But he just lets Randall Cobb stiff arm him and get the first down, and then touchdown to Jason Witten. I believe that was the same drive. I mean, guys were wide open. Blake Jarwin, who, if you remember, had 3 touchdowns against the Giants in Week 17 last year. So I guess the Giants clearly didn't learn to cover him. And it wasn't even a good throw. But because he was wide open, it didn't matter. He was going to catch it. And Randall Cobb, wide open. Okay, listen. And it hurts me because, as you know, I love Aaron Rodgers. I love Jordy Nelson. Of course, that's going to come up on the show many times. And believe me, we'll get to the Green Bay Packers in a little bit. But, because I'm going to be talking about Week 1 as a whole, Randall Cobb has not been good these last couple of years. 2014 was like his last really good year. He was a Pro Bowler that year. He has done absolutely nothing these last couple of years, and you leave him, and he is wide open. You let him get by you. And Jason Witten, who comes out of retirement, all the guy does is catch the ball. That's it. All he does is catch the ball. And once again, caught it. Michael Thomas, the safety, he, thought that it was going to be a running play, and he got killed for that, and Witten got the touchdown. And, you know the rest of the story. But, I mean, and just to hear the coach after the game just saying, oh, we got a few things we got to correct, we got to do this, we got to do that. I mean, there's no urgency. You played like garbage. And I would love to say words worse than that, but I can't, because we're on FCC Airways. I can't say these words. I can say them when I'm with my friends or whatever, talking about the game. It was that bad. It was that bad. I mean, and just you can't, and tackling. I mean, people don't know how to tackle in this league anymore. I just don't get it. And, of course, when the game's out of hand, they put in Daniel Jones. And he fumbled. Listen, when they get to Daniel Jones, because it's going to happen. It's probably going to happen after Week 6 when they play the Patriots. That'll be Eli's swan song. After the Patriots game, Daniel Jones is going to come in, and if this guy does not fix his ball security skills, we're in trouble. Because yes, he had a great preseason. He was impressive. But again, it's preseason. You're not playing against, the number 1 string, the whatever. Not playing the number 1 strings, whatever. First strings, sorry. I don't know why I couldn't say that right. He has to work on it, because if he doesn't work on it, he's going to be in trouble. Because, like I just said, we're going against second and third stringers all preseason. You kept the first string offensive line in because you didn't want the kid to get killed, which was smart. But look, I've said in the past they're doing Eli dirty. They really are, because look, I thought he played good. Now, yes, there were checkdowns. Yes, he missed some throws. It was, and of course the on the 4th and 1 play where he just rolled out and just run for the first down, Eli. If you're scared, it doesn't matter. And I know Van Der Esch is coming over, and yeah, Van Der Esch is clearly faster than you, but just dive for the first down. At least attempt. Don't just go, don't just go for the first down marker and then stop and just get tackled by every Dallas defensive lineman on the team and then lose the ball. But there was also a penalty that should have been called because Shepard clearly got tackled in the end zone, but nobody sees that because the Giants don't get any calls. And what are you doing running with Eli Penny on 3rd and 2? You have Saquon Barkley, the best running back in football, because he's clearly that. And you just run with Eli Penny, the fullback. I mean, I don't know what Pat Shurmur's thinking. I mean, if you look at the stats, Barkley had 11 carries. I think it was 159, something like that, 159 yards, but only on 11 carries. And how many snaps did he play in the preseason? None. I know that. I don't get it. It really is ridiculous. I mean, you look at the stats of the game. As I'm trying to pull them up right now. Eli had 100. Not 100. He had 306 yards passing, which is solid. It's pretty solid. 30 of 44. Here we go. 30 of 44. 306 yards, 1 touchdown. So, I mean, obviously he could have had more. They left some points on the board. Barkley had 11 carries. Oh, not 159. 11 carries for 120 yards. No touchdowns. Averaging 10.9 yards a carry. And you have Eli Penny running on 3rd and 2. I mean, what are you doing? And Evan Ingram had a really good game. 11 receptions, 116 yards, and 1 touchdown. So he had a good game. Latimer, 3 receptions, 74 yards. Sterling Shepard, 6 receptions, 42 yards. Benny Fowler, 5 receptions, 40 yards. He had that big 4th down conversion. Sorry, I mean they converted on 4th down, but on 3rd down they were horrendous. But it's just this is going to be a long season for the Giants. It's going to be a long one, and it's just I don't think it's going to. We're not going anywhere. We're not. Believe me, I want to be positive, and a lot of people know me as a very negative person when it comes to sports. And I mean, just watching that game, I mean, and the track record too. Our expectations are just very, very low at this point. That it's gotten to the point where it's, oh, Eli looked good today. You know what? That's a good thing. But we lose the game like whatever we lost the other day, 35-17. But Eli looked good today, so that's a positive, guys. That's our expectations with this team. I mean, where's the urgency? Over the summer, like a month or two ago, I was watching an old game. It was from, I want to say 2010, 2009, something like that. The Giants were playing the Bears on a Sunday night. And this is when OC and Tuck were still playing. I mean, it was a massacre. Jay Cutler was sacked all over the place. It was great. I wanted to cry, to be honest. Because that was the last time the Giants had a pass rush. And don't give me 2016. That was the last time the Giants had a consistent pass rush. Because 2016, we got to the quarterback. We hit the quarterback. Yeah, there were sacks, but that was not a consistent pass rush. And the secondary was obviously better in 2016. The last time the Giants had a great defense was 2011, 2012 when we won the Super Bowl. That was the last time we had a good defense. I don't care about 2016. I don't. I really don't care. 2016 doesn't count because you know what? We went to the playoffs and we lost 38-13 to Aaron Rodgers. And we went nowhere that year. So it doesn't matter. We have not had a good defense in a long time. And the Giants don't have anybody to blame but themselves. And they can sit there and be like, oh, we got Daniel Jones, you know, he's the guy. And they're already talking about the critics that, you know, criticized the move, said he's going to be a bust, and they're saying, oh, well, what do you got to say now? He hasn't played. He played, and he fumbled the ball. And this was in an actual game. And if he continues to do that, you're going to be the fools once again. So don't, you know, be waving your pom-poms like he's the next big thing, because we haven't seen anything yet. Let's see him get into an actual game situation from the start, and see how he does. And if he does good, great. If he does all right, okay, needs improvement. If he does horrendous, you got to start worrying. Even in his first start, because you took him 6th overall in the draft, and he better do something, because you're going to set the franchise back even further. There are a lot of holes on this team. And look, the defense is very young. There are a lot of second-year guys. There are a lot of rookies on this defense. The secondary, that's the thing. The secondary, outside of the safeties, they're all rookies, except Janoris Jenkins. Everybody else is a rookie. So they're going to learn. Hopefully they improve quick and fast, which is definitely not going to happen in a week, because the offense is going to score points. But it doesn't help when you're down 28-10 in the third quarter, and you know your defense is going to stop anybody. It was a disgraceful performance, and it's even worse because it's against the Cowboys. And I got to listen to everybody on TV saying, "Oh, Dak this and Dak that." I mean, any quarterback, even Tim Tebow, with protection and going up against a secondary that's going against nobody, a bunch of rookies, with guys that are just 7 yards past their guy, wide open. Every quarterback with a pulse would be able to throw it to them and get those touchdowns, because that's how wide open those guys were. And yes, Dak did make a couple of good throws. The touchdown to Cooper was nice. That he dropped it in the bucket. The same thing to Gallup. Look, the Cowboys, and the simple fact is the Cowboys have a better roster than the Giants do. They're a better football team. That's the bottom line. They're a better football team. I don't like to admit it, but it's true. They are a better football team. They have a really good defense. You got DeMarcus Lawrence, and how about him completely dismissing that young Giant fan that just wanted his autograph just because he was a Giant fan? I mean, I understand that it's, you know, it's a Cowboys player, but I mean, come on. Really? You can't just sign it? I don't know what it was that the kid wanted him to sign, but I mean, come on. It's a little kid. I mean, look, if it was an adult, that's different. It's a little kid. But whatever. That's why I don't like the Cowboys. And I think because of all the publicity that they get, I was saying to myself, I hate the Dallas Cowboys more than I hate the Boston Red Sox. I do. Because at least with the Red Sox, you can respect the Red Sox. Because of the ceremonies, like the ceremony that they did for CC Sabathia, because he's retiring after this year, the one they did for Mo, for Jeter, I mean, all of that. You can respect the Red Sox. I don't respect the Cowboys. Not at all. I do not respect the... Now, that doesn't mean that I don't hate the Red Sox. I do, but I hate the Cowboys so much more because of the publicity and all of that. They're always making headlines, and it's just everybody thinks that they're better than they are. Listen, Dak Prescott, if he didn't have that offensive line, which is healthy, which is easily the best offensive line in football, if it's healthy, let's be honest. You got Zeke. Now, Zeke is not in football shape, but he's in shape. He didn't really have that many carries the other day. And the Giants' run defense, they held up for the most part. I mean, yes, Zeke got a touchdown, but for the most part, so that was a positive out of the defense, was that. But Dak Prescott is not that good. And you could say I'm a hater, whatever you want. He's not that good. And let's see how he does when he has to go to the Saints, when he has to play Green Bay, when he has to go to New England, when he has to go to Chicago. Let's see how he does in those games. He has to play Philadelphia twice. Let's see how he does in those games. Let's see how he does. And you know what? If he wins about, 3 out of the whatever I just said, you got me there. And let's see how he does in the playoffs if they get there. Let's see how he does. If he does good, all right, then I was wrong about him. But I don't believe in Dak, because I want to see Dak be down and then win the football game. Because that's the thing. Dallas is pretty much always playing with the lead. The only time they were losing by a decent amount, and they came back, but they still lost the game, was that playoff game against Green Bay a few years ago. But that's because Green Bay's defense isn't that good. But you know what? To give Dak credit, they did come back. They did rally. But they still lost the game. I want to see Dallas play from behind, I want to see them down by at least 14 points going into the second half, and I want to see them come back. I want to see that. Because if Dak can do that, I want to see Dak win the game. I don't want to see the defense win the game. I don't want to see Zeke win the game. I want to see Dak win the game. Because, look, like I said, they got a lot of good skill positions. Michael Gallup is going to have a good second season. Amari Cooper, look, the guy was nothing in Oakland for a couple of years, and now he's top 10, top 15 receiver in the league. Maybe, I don't know about top 10. Maybe somewhere around there. He's got to do a little bit more, but he's a number one target. Jason Witten comes back, and it's good to have him with his blocking and his leadership. And then, of course, Randall Cobb, who it does hurt me that he's on the Cowboys. It just doesn't look right. I think he should have went to a different team, but who knows? And then, of course, you have Zeke in the backfield. And Zeke's going to get better and better as the season goes on. He's going to get into better shape. But I think the Eagles are going to win this division. I really do. But overall, with the Giants, you just got to hope that they win. They got to. The next 3 games are against. The competition will be fairer. It won't be against a superior team. Because they got the Bills next week, who just beat the Jets, so I'll talk about that for a little bit. Then they got the Buccaneers, who Jameis Winston looked awful, and I think he's going to continue to look awful. And then you got the Redskins, who were up 17-0 against the Eagles, and they blew the lead. So that tells you all you need to know. But hopefully they win those next 3 games, and of course the injuries already starting. Kareem Martin, one of their defensive players, got a knee injury. Sterling Shepard has a concussion, so he's probably going to miss next week. So they brought back T.J. Jones, who they cut, who had a nice preseason. I mean, and one more quick thing. It really annoys me. What really annoys me is Dave Gettleman's the GM, right? And the defensive coordinator is James Bettcher, who used to be the Cardinals' defensive coordinator. And Dave Gettleman was obviously the GM. I mean, he was on the Giants before that, but he was the GM of the Panthers. And you're just bringing in guys from those teams. You're not going out and getting... Why did the Giants try to get Jadeveon Clowney when he was on the trade block? Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they try to get Earl Thomas instead of getting Antoine Bethea, who's 37 years old? I mean, why are you just signing guys that were cut by your old teams that you used to coach or manage, whatever? Why are you just doing that? You're getting all has-beens. I don't know. I'm just not going to talk about the Giants. I think that's enough about the Giants today. You get to the rest of Week 1, which is more entertaining to watch. So obviously, I do a football pool, and there was about 4 or 5 games where the team that I picked was covering, and they would give up a touchdown with 1 minute or less, or unless you were the Lions, completely blow the lead and go into overtime, and I would end up losing those games. So I lost more games than I should have. But that's football. That's what happens. So with the Jets, same old thing, just like the Giants. Same story, different day. You got the lead. Le'Veon Bell looks good. C.J. Mosley goes out with a groin injury, I believe it was, and then it went all downhill from there. Like I just talked about, the Giants have an offensive line now. The Jets, they need help on the offensive line. Giants have a kicker, and the Jets don't. But they just signed, I think his name is Sam Finken. So hopefully that works out, because the kicker that was kicking for them the other day, he was not good. He was really bad. And I don't know why they let Jason Myers go to the Seahawks. I don't know what their thought process was on that. But the guy was a Pro Bowler, so I think the logical choice would have been to bring him back. But I guess they didn't want to do that. The Jets could not protect Sam Darnold. He looked awful. The defense was good until C.J. Mosley left, because he was clearly the best player on the field. I mean, he had that pick six. Josh Allen looked awful. The Bills turned the ball over 4 or 5 times, whatever it was, and they still won the game. The Jets have to win. This is a must-win game for the Jets, because their schedule after this week is abysmal, and it's kind of a reminder of about 4 or 5 years ago, when they beat Oakland the first week, and you went down their schedule, and it was not fun to look at, because they had the Packers, the Patriots, the Lions were good. There was a lot of teams on that schedule that the Jets were 1-6 at that point. Oh, they played the Broncos when Peyton was still playing. I mean, that was a terrible season for them. I believe that was Rex Ryan's last season. So if you look at if you look at the Jets schedule after the Browns, if they lose this game, they will be 0-2, and these are home games. That's the other thing. These are home games. And you're looking at 0-2, and I'm sorry to say it, but I think the Browns are going to win. But we'll get to the Browns in a second. So you look at the Jets' schedule. They lost to the Bills. They have the Browns this week coming. Next Monday, on Monday Night Football. Then you have the Patriots at Patriots, and of course we'll get to the Patriots. Then you have the bye week, which you'll definitely need if you start the year 0-3. Then you're at the Eagles. That's probably going to be a loss. Then you're at the not at the Cowboys. Cowboys come to MetLife, and I want the Jets to win that game. I really do, but I don't think they're going to win that game. And then you verse the Patriots, which, you know what? The Patriots sometimes, I know the Patriots don't play well in Miami, but sometimes they don't play good at MetLife against the Jets. Jets sometimes have the number. So we'll see with that. And then you play the Jaguars and the Dolphins and the Giants and the Redskins. So between week 2 and week 7 are going to be very challenging. Now, once you get to week 8 to week 14, those are all winnable games, including week 10, which is against the Giants, which I hope the Giants win. And then, then you close out week 15, you're at Ravens. That's probably going to be a loss. Then you got the Steelers coming in, and who knows what they're going to be looking like and what they're going to look like in week 16. And then you got week 17 at the Bills. So it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for the Jets. Look, Le'Veon Bell looked great, so that's a positive. There's a lot of negatives though. Play calling, whether it's the quarterback, whether it's the offensive line, Quincy Enunwa is now out for the year with the neck injury, which I'm really upset about because he's my favorite. He is my favorite Jet. You know, I always got to have a favorite player on the team. So you bring in Demaryius Thomas. So really nothing looks good right now for both New York teams. So they got to come out and they got to play good, because if they both lose, and looking at 0-2, it is just, but more so for the Jets, because the Jets actually, like, they look like they have a better team and a better defense. They actually have a defense, but they can't just be relying on C.J. Mosley to carry them throughout the season. They got to have other guys step up. So both New York teams don't look good.